Hey guys, Chris here with Cohesive Friendship Unit. I am with Brian,
What's up?
Jeremy,
We back.
and Jake.
Hey.
And a few weeks ago, we made a video to, kind of anticipating the No Man's Sky next update. And I think we were all universally skeptical, yeah? Ish.
You're pretty.
Ish.
I think my reaction
Absolutely.
was, yeah.
Okay, and I promised I would check it out. And we are here back after
all
this
bought.
update is dropped. We we have all bought it, and I think we should just do a quick roundtable how many hours we put into this fucker. I have 52 hours in the game.
I have 14.
That's pretty good.
59.
Lamau.
And I'm sitting at 70.
Okay,
That's
so clearly we bought the game and we played it quite a bit.
Well, it's
So,
addictive. It's like it's one of those things that it's just like you get sucked into it, even though you're really not doing anything, and you know you're really not doing anything, but you're like, I'm just gonna mine a little bit more shit. To make this
Well,
stuff.
so yeah, let's get like I think the biggest issue with the original No Man's Sky was a bunch of shit was missing, and there wasn't we kind of anticipated in the next update there wouldn't be enough to do, especially to warrant the price tag. Do we still kind of stand there?
It's still not worth $60.
Agreed.
Okay.
Agreed.
I think the
We all-
$30 is like the most I would pay for it.
Agreed.
I think it would be better at a less price point. Than
I
that.
think I would pay up to 40. Like, it's
20 sounds appropriate to me.
It's.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
we
okay.
spent a
haven't
lot
gotten
of time
sucked
in it,
yet.
but it's still like everything in this game is designed to take time. It's just
Yeah.
one of those games where it's like, yeah, you need to recharge every single thing you use, and you need to fly to this system and then fly to that system and learn 10 words, and then everything about it's just designed to take time, but also show you all the pretty stuff and procedural planets and all that.
Well, that's kind of what it's about. Like, I still haven't gotten to the center of the galaxy. Like, I'm not, or the center of the universe. I'm not really even that interested in that. I just like exploring and like finding all the different shit, because the procedural generation does some really weird stuff.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting to see that sometimes. And, you know, even though you kind of know what it's going to be when you're going into a new star system, it's like, oh, I wonder what is going to be here. You know, you know what's going to be there, but you still like want to find it.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
don't-
so
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
well, I was just gonna say, so I did get to the center, and that was kind of the last thing I did before I stopped playing it for a few days. So I kind of like from a campaign standpoint, I guess I did the Artemis quest to get to the center, and I know that there's the Atlas path, but that was in the base game. I know it's been fleshed out a bit, but
Was that
or you could
next
do it.
update that you get to the center?
Yeah. So you used to be you could only do the Atlas path, or you could get there yourself. And then pre next update, they added the Artemis quest, and then they enhanced that post next update. So it's like kind of an enhanced version of it. And yeah, I mean, it took me to do the quest, I would guess 30 hours, maybe more. So from that perspective, if you're just like if you're not the type that can be free and creative with it, if you're not the type who likes the Minecraft open end, build bases, explore kind of thing, and you just want like a story to guide you and beeline to a place, then I think there's definitely something there. At least there was for me. I found it quite enjoyable.
The story?
Not well, the campaign, yeah, not just the story, but I there were a few times when I was like, this is kind of weird, like this is annoying, but I found they had enough diversity. If you just want to beeline through the Artemis quest, I think there's enough there that it's pretty fun.
Which quest is the Artemis quest?
You probably haven't
Yeah, you haven't
gotten
gotten
that
there
one.
I haven't gotten there yet. Okay.
Yeah, you might not have gotten there
Whatever.
yet.
Come on, I've only played for 14 hours.
Well, you get a distress signal and it brings you down to a crash ship. That's kind of how
Dude,
it
don't
starts.
spoil it.
Well, that's how it starts. So I don't know if he's had
So
that.
Jeremy,
I
you're only
might
like
have
10 hours in, right?
14. Yeah.
Have you seen any story yet?
Yeah, I've played out the very beginning of the main story. Like I did all because the tutorial section is basically the story, right? You wake up and it's like the voice and it's like, who am I? And they're watching you and blah blah blah. And then you go to the space station. So I've like I'm in the very beginning stages of it. It's okay. It's not particularly grabbing me, but I like did it enough that it gives you the option to continue on the Atlas path or to free explore, and I chose to continue on the Atlas path, at least for now. The Artemis thing maybe hasn't come up yet. So you said you felt there was a good amount of diversity, Chris. It seems to me like diversity of what? Because the gameplay, such as it is pretty straightforward. I don't know how much diversity they could add.
Well, so no, I won't try to spoil anything, but they essentially, the Artemis quest, as a broad brushstroke, is a peek at everything you can do in the game. Broad brushstroke. That's kind of what it is. Like, for example, you have to build this thing called like a mind melder or whatever, and you need to get living glass to do that, like the blueprint to make living glass. But to get the blueprint to do living glass, you have to have a base and start at least the base quest. And that's a whole thing. So then, okay, you made a base, and then you went through that base building, and you got to the point in the base building quest, which was pretty deep, where you can build glass. And then another example would be they have you increase your stance with every guild. So you have to go find like the Merchant Guild, and you have to go find like the Travelers Guild, and you have to go find all the guilds. So it exposes you. It says these are the guilds, and you have to do missions within the guilds. Like you have to do space combat for one guild, you have to do exploration for another guild. Going back to the mind meld, to make the living glass, you need to get frost wart or whatever. It's a plant that grows on a cold planet. So then you have to find a cold planet, which exposes you to cold. It like pretty much hits on everything that you can do in the game in a pretty clever way, I think. There's very few times where you're playing it and you're like, oh, this is a forced tutorial. Especially if it's someone like you who just kind of like falls into it, and not me, where I spent like 20 hours with the game before the next update. Then yeah, it really shows you everything. And then once you're done with that, you know everything, and you can say, oh, I liked this part of the game, I'm going to flesh that out.
Yeah, that's kind of why I stopped doing the storyline stuff, is because I like the trading aspect of it, and I like building bases and exploring the planets, and I didn't really care about doing the doing the quests or any of that stuff. And when I built the base, I got the the overseer and the other people that work in the base, and I finished those quests, and I got roughly the same effect. It shows you how to play the game through just like playing the game. But it's really not something that should be overly complicated. Like I feel like they did do the learning curve initially is really steep, but once you get past the first 10 hours, you're good. Like you can roughly where everything is, and like when something new comes up, you can more or less figure out like what you're supposed to do.
I think the caveat though is that like the learning curve, so like another game that has not a huge learning curve but like a learning curve would be like Civ, but like learning the different elements of the game, like they all do something. So like when you learn how science works, that like contributes to a different way that your civilization progresses, whereas a lot of the stuff you have to learn in No Man's Sky is just like, it's kind of nonsense. Like it's kind of like you have to learn that if you push E on the extra menu, then you get to see like a different slot for something to make.
I mean, the UI is a little bit clunky,
and that's a huge part of the learning curve.
Yeah, it's obtuse.
Well, it's the huge part of the learning curve of any game. They just, when it's bad, you notice it a lot more.
Yeah.
And
I don't think it's better than it used to be, for the record.
Right, and
at
they
least
are
it's going in the right direction. Yeah.
They are improving it. They've put out like, I think, 6 updates since the next one came out. And the bug fix list is just huge on each one of them. It's like, we're getting rid of all this stuff. That, like, they're responding to their player base, which is really nice to see.
I didn't have any. Well, multiplayer.
I've had,
multiplayer aside,
yeah.
I have had very few actual like hard issues with the game. Like
I've had 2 or 3 crashes, but multiplayer, yeah, I have issues.
We'll talk about multiplayer.
I like
Jake's been quiet. Yeah, go for it.
I think that they've been doing a good job of fixing all the bugs that have come up, and amazingly responding to the community, which we all know is what got them in trouble in the first place. But I think that the issues with the game as it stands, and the reason I wouldn't pay more than $30 for it, is bigger than bug fixes. It's just things that don't fit. Like, I personally think the story is awful and not really that interesting. I think.
How far are you in the Artemis quest?
I don't know how far to.
Like,
I don't know how not to spoil it, but I found the next.
You can just spoil it. That's fine.
In the quest line.
So you found the second person.
Yeah.
So you're like a third of the way through it, just so you know.
Right, and like, I'm in the same boat as Brian. As I put like 20, 30 hours in before even starting the quest line. And they don't do the classic RPG thing where it's like, oh, you've already learned 200 words in the Viking language. Now you don't have to go learn 3 more to complete this quest.
Oh.
So it's little things like that. It's the fact that the Sentinels are not really fleshed out. The UI is obtuse and very difficult to use. It's kind of like the big macro things that I have issues with that kind of take like a next update to fix.
Yeah.
But with that said, I have put 60 hours in, and I still really enjoy the game.
Also, it's it's ambitious. There's 18 quintillion planets.
I mean, it's amazing what they did.
And it's relatively seamless. For what it is, I think it works pretty damn well.
Well, and what is it? That's the question. Jake, we were talking about this the other night, right?
Yeah.
It's like, it's almost
it might be the only simulation of a universe. Which is
right. It's almost like it's not quite a game yet, though. It's like it's beyond Minecraft, but it's not like, it's more of a really, really, really good tech demo. Like 18 point whatever quintillion planets in like 6 gigabytes. It's a tiny installation. They did a fantastic job on that end, and
it works. Yeah, like, I think the planet variation's pretty good.
It's pretty good, they're really similar, but like, if you think about planets that would have life on them, like, they wouldn't be too dissimilar. They would fall into, broad categories.
Have you gone to red or green systems?
I've been to a red one for a brief period of time.
Okay, because I think they get more interesting.
They're a little bit more off the. They're a little bit more sci-fi, but it's not. It's not like it's enough to be radically different. But that's kind of, you don't want to go. The real universe is filled with planets that are just like airless rocks in space.
That might be interesting.
How interesting would a game be that was just like every solar system that you went to was just airless rocks in space? Like,
right.
And like, they don't have gas planets either. So.
At least a couple for diversity would be interesting, though.
Well, they're out there.
Yeah, they're out there. They're airless planets.
There's airless planets, but like, I'm saying that the majority of them, as we...
Yeah, no. I think they have a good balance.
Or some, like, fucking gas giants. Are there any gas giants?
No, there's no gaseous planets. They all have
There are black holes, though.
I wish there were more moons.
Cool.
I wish there were more... moons were more common. Like, small moons.
I wish the rings, if you flew into them, were like a really dense belt or something.
That would be nice.
Like asteroid belts, or...
Yeah.
Or like if they had specific resources in them or something that you could mine.
I like the clouds a lot. I think that they didn't used to have the clouds. I think that adds a lot, like the volumetric clouds.
I like the
That's
weather.
cool. And the weather is really good. Like
Weather is cool.
when there's a storm coming and you can like hear the wind picking up and you can see the plants like starting to move around more, and you're like, oh shit, I gotta dig me a hole and get out of the superheated rain or the radioactive fallout or whatever the hell it is. But
Should we talk about the multiplayer?
yeah, I guess we could talk about the multiplayer. It's not great.
I think that seems
To be
nice.
honest.
I think
Yeah,
that sounds
it's a good
good.
first start.
Have you ever played single player but thought that maybe someone else should also be playing single player? That's
Yeah,
what
but
No
it's
Man's
kind
Sky
of fun.
multiplayer is.
You're kind of doing stuff with your buds, you know, like we're building a base together and there's all sorts of like fucky issues, but
Well, we're trying to. It doesn't
Oh,
work
yeah.
very
I've played-
well.
I've played it with a few other friends, like not in the cohesive friendship unit, and it's pretty much always devolves to us doing missions to grind for nanites or units until something breaks, because that seems to be the best like thing to do together.
That said, that's kind of the game.
yeah,
Well, I don't usually do missions. I don't do any missions alone. I only do missions with
Well,
friends.
building bases works like as long as everybody's online. And there's still
Yeah.
like the teleporter stuff and the containers, like that needs to be fixed. You should be
Yeah.
able to use a teleporter that you built in your friend's base.
Right.
If
It's
you know,
also like
you
it's
don't
just
own
an
it.
exploration game that has no risk in it, and then you throw in extra people. Like normally when you have multiplayer, it's like, oh, you could go explore this, but maybe you need some friends to survive this difficult area. But not in No Man's Sky. There's no risk in exploring, so there's just like
And there's
nothing
no-
yeah, like
that people
if
add.
the creatures were more, and like maybe this is just the yellow systems, but if the creatures were more aggressive, like if you were more likely to get attacked by like huge shit, or like if you're if like on extreme planets, if you built like a wooden shack, if it took damage over time and you had to keep rebuilding it, so there was some incentive to build metal bases instead of just the wood ones, you know. But there's a lot of room for improvement.
Or if you could cleanse a planet of sentinels, like if there were a sentinel heavy
Yeah.
planet that was really interesting, you and your friends could get together and fucking wipe them out.
Or if you could, like, on a bigger scale, change, like, you know how it says, like, destitute, or, like, if
Like
the
terraform
crime...
it.
That
No,
would be
but, like,
cool.
when you go to a
Awesome.
system, like, if you're in a system and you're trading there all the time, if it would, like, change the local economy and you could improve, like, or destroy the local economy by doing whatever, or like it's the same thing with like the crime levels. If you're out there like killing pirates all the time, the pirates shouldn't spawn as often in that system and it should go down.
And that's
Like that wouldn't be that hard to change. That's just like that's on their back end. Like it has nothing to do with the planets
I mean,
or
The only issue, it's probably done algorithmically. Like it's probably set in the algorithm, kind of like how all the planets are.
And that's why I piggyback on Jake's comment of like I don't think it's definitely not a $60 game. Probably to me not a $30 game. Definitely not a $60 game. Like there's not a lot of depth to anything. Like you can't change the local economy. You can't change how sentinels spawn. You can't your actions don't really impact much of anything. You fundamentally can do some dog fighting that's kind of wonky. You can mine resources and you can craft those into upgrades, and there's a base building component now. That's kind of it.
I just wish the multiplayer didn't break a lot.
It hasn't actually broken for me.
Like missions break.
Me and Chris have tried missions, and we get through
Ah.
one, maybe
Brian
two.
and I have also.
yeah, they don't work that well.
You can, and my other friend, we can usually finish like 2, maybe 3, but you can't usually finish more than that before it just like doesn't work.
Right.
which
Yeah,
is
I've
sad.
gotten like I got killed I think 2 or 3 times in a row because my freighter just wouldn't spawn. Like it kind of spawned and then I got out of my ship and it was like, oh, you're just floating in space now and you're dying.
Yeah.
And then I died and there was nothing I could do about it. and then I lost all my shit. And I couldn't get it back because the grave was inside my freighter.
That was so sad. I was just gonna try to wrap it up, but you said some sad shit. Now I don't want to.
I mean, it's
Sometimes
it's an amazing tech demo that I guess is slowly turning into a game.
There's a lot of potential. Like, they have a lot of room to build into, and I think they're trying. They're at least like trying to make something that's decent.
I'm gonna go a bit higher than you guys, and I'm gonna say the fact that the three of us who got it first. So Jeremy got it fairly recently, and then he was kind of busy. The three of us who got it first all of us put a minimum of 50 hours into it, and I finished a 30-hour story, and there's another path that I can take. I am gonna say that it's fairly complete package, and the $60 price tag. I think that comes down to personal preference. Like, I bought it for $60, and now I'm happy that, like, now I feel that my $60 was justified, whereas originally I did not. But yeah, I mean, obviously, if you can get on sale, that's awesome. But I don't know. That's where I'm at. I'm very impressed with this. But
do you really think the story paths are like meaningfully different?
Yeah, I do.
Like,
only because I know what the first one is.
But everything you described in the Artemis path, I've already done, without even having touched the Artemis path.
But there is a story, and you do see some cool things. Yeah, there is. Jake at least can confirm that one exists.
There's a story. I've played
like
more of the Artemis thing than.
But like an interesting story.
It's very fourth wall breaking. How's that?
There's a story.
It doesn't necessarily make it interesting.
I'm gonna say that when they started out, there was the question of like, why am I the only person that does this stuff? Like, is there more? Blah blah blah. Who's this mysterious? What are the answers to all these questions? And I think they took that story that they didn't make in the first iteration of this game and tried to flush it out, but it's not really there from what I've seen so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's not fantastic, but regardless, I'm gonna say that I'm now not mad anymore. I'm glad that I own the game, and I look
confirmation
forward
bias
to more content.
I'm glad I bought it.
Yeah, I would still say wait for it to go on sale though. Like, I've played it more than anybody else, and I would still say like it's not quite $60. Maybe when the next big update comes out, when they fix like a lot of stuff, because I feel like they're gonna continue updating this and it's like for free for as long as they reasonably can. And when the next big one comes out, if it's free or if like you get it with your purchase, it might be worth paying $60, but I would wait for it to go on sale. For all of the reasons that you guys mentioned, like they're not isolated problems. Like I agree with pretty much everything you said.
Cool. All right, I think that about wraps it up. Brian, do you want to close up?
Yeah, sure. Well, guys, if you've ever had a 2 1/4 inch box open and wrench dropped on your foot, make sure to let us know down in that comment section there. That must have hurt quite a bit. And as always, make sure to crush that motherfucking like button and smoke them if you got them, guys. That's all for me tonight, Chris.
Thank you, Brian. We'll catch you guys next time.